Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are the students from Contract and Estimation DAC 21420. Our group is consists of two members, which is me, Siti Najwa Binti Mohammed Sugianto, and my other friend named Mifdhal Akif bin Mohammad Zahir. So our project title is Proposal to Build a Single-Story House on Lot 4479 Jalan 6, Selangor, Darul Ihsan. So as you can see, I'm Husna. I'll be showing you our company background. Our company is Husna Akif.co, owned by Siti Najwa Husna and Muhammad Mifdhal Akif in October 2020. Established a small-scale business in that area with the aim of bringing together a team of professionals and to provide comprehensive consulting services. So it is located at Menara Kuala Lumpur City. Menara Kuala Lumpur City Centre, KLCC, Kuala Lumpur, Selangor. Our objective is number one is plan and perform to achieve the required quality within the budget and schedule requirements. Next one, in accordance with contractual and regulatory requirements. The thirdly is perform correctly the first time to ensure cost effectiveness and efficiency. So this is our firm. So for the director and founder is Siti Najwa Binti Mohammed Sugianto. Our co-founder and construction manager is Muhammad Mifdhal Akif bin Mohammad Zahir. Our commercial manager is John Smith. So as you can see, this is our drawing details. The next one is we'll be showing you our quantity measurement for kitchen. Proceed about our quantity measurement of our kitchen. So the first step is you have to calculate the excavation works, excavation topsoil. So our length is 5.2 meters. So at foundation, half of 1.15, half of 1.35, and then you got 6.450. So this is for x-axis and the other one is for y-axis. So we have assumed that the excavation topsoil is 150 millimeter deep. So after excavation topsoil, you have to calculate the surface excavation. Surface excavation is you have to know the concrete slab and the hard core, and then you have to minus with the topsoil excavation. So pit excavation is after the surface excavation. So pit excavation you have to calculate for each foundation. So as you all can see, we have three, which is P1C2, P2C2, and P3C2. So for pit excavation, there are two steps of it. The first one is you have to use lean concrete, pad footing, and stump. So the second step is you have to deduct it with the volume of stump in the pit. So after that, after you calculate the pit excavation, you have to calculate the trench excavation. Trench excavation is using the height of beam and less column stump. So trench excavation we calculate using different type of according to the beam. So after trench excavation, work, you have there is a concrete works. Assume that the pad footing to be reinforced into the concrete grade 20. So after concrete works, we have form works. Form works is calculated by form work to foundation and beds. So we have stumps, and after that is reinforcement in stump, reinforcement bars in column stump. So for P1C2 stump length, foundation 0.25, for stump is 0.450, and lap in column 0.4. So after that we have to minus with concrete cover, and then we have to add the band. So we got 1.236. So this step is the same for P2C2 and P3C2. After the reinforcement in stump, we have to find the reinforcement in pad footing for each pad footing. After the reinforcement in pad footing, it is a concrete in ground beam. So concrete in ground beam and concrete in ground beam, and then formwork to ground beam with formwork to ground beam and then proceed with reinforcement from ground beam. You have to calculate it by each of the beams. So after that, we have calculated the hardcore, damp-proof course and concrete bed.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Mifdhal Akif, and now I'm going to present my part of the project, which is the master bedrock calculation. We start with excavation work for topsoil. First, we calculate the total area of the excavation zone, and then we multiply that by the thickness of the topsoil, and then we get the volume of topsoil that has to be excavated and removed from sites. Next, for a surface excavation, we multiply the concrete slab with hardcore, and then we subtract with excavation topsoil, and then we times the length and the width that we got previously to find the total volume of the surface excavation that has to be removed and also excavated. Next, for pit excavation, we multiply the lean concrete bed footing and stump, and then we subtract it by topsoil and reduce level to get this value right here, and then the value times by the length and the width of the things to get the number of volume that has to be removed, depending on the types of bed footing, of course. This one is the same, but for different types of bed footings. Next is for trench excavation. First, we find the length of the beam, and then we minus the column stump, get this value right here. And then in order to find the depth, we need to find the height of depth, which is usually stated, minus the concrete cover, and then subtracted by the topsoil and reduce level, and then just times these numbers together, and then you got the value of it. After that, we go for the concrete works. It's simply by multiplying the length and the width by the number of depth, depending on the element that we are calculating. For example, this is for the lean concrete, so 50 millimeters, and then we got the volume over here. And then this one is for bed footing times 250, and then we got the volume of bed footing, volume of concrete used for bed footings. It's all is about the same, and the rest of these are about the same. Next, for formwork, we calculate the formwork for stumps, the foundation beds, and the foundation girth. We found this by simply finding the area of each of the components. Next, for formwork, we calculate the stump, the formwork, the foundations, and then the foundation girth. We find each of this value by simply finding the area of the surfaces and multiplying that by the number of elements. For reinforcement and stump, we just simply calculate the stump length and the number of links required for each of the reinforcements. In order to calculate the reinforcement and bed footing, you first need to find the length and the width, minus and plus all these factors like concrete cover, bands, and foundations, etc. And then you need to find the number of bars in that reinforcement. We got that by dividing the length and the spacings. And after that, we times by the 3, which is the number of stumps, number of units, and 2 for 2 sides, and 6 for the number of bars. For concrete and ground beam, first we find the length of the ground beam itself, and then using that length we multiply to get the volume of lean concrete, and then after that, final step, we multiply with the dimension of ground beam in order to find the volume of concrete in ground beam. In order to calculate the formula for ground beam, we first need to multiply both sides of the beam and the number of the beam times the length of the beam. And this one is the same, but for a different length of beams. Next, to find the reinforcement for ground beam, we add the length of the ground beam minus the stumps and less concrete cover, and then we add 2 bends on the tops to get 4.025, and then that value here times the number of ground beams that have the identical sizes. After that, we find the stirrups or the connector, or more known as links, by finding the true length, same as here before, but we subtracted by the number of spacings in order to find the number of links needed. And the final step is to determine the hardcore, damp-proof course, and the concrete bed. In order to do that, we first have to determine the total area in that particular room, which is 5.2, the length times the width, 3.5, minus all the stumps and etc. And for hardcore, we multiply both length and width simply to get the area. For damp-proof course, it's the similar story. And for concrete bed, we need to multiply by the thickness of the concrete in order to find the volume of the concrete. Now that's all for me. Thank you very much.